Right then, lads and lasses, how we're doing, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to a match preview as well as we travel to the ETIHAD to play in what is definitely the biggest game left of the season. I know we've got the Premier League to prioritise, but for me, bringing that trophy back would just be so fantastic for Newcastle United. And something else which I think is definitely sort of pivotal in this game, why we do need to win. And look, I know it's Manchester City away, which we'll get into in the later stage of the video. We'll probably know that we are going to lose, let's be real. We'll not give up a fight, but I think why we need to win this game is for Eddie Howe's job security to be retained. There's nobody else I want managing Newcastle United as of right now. I love that man to death, and then players need to go out there and give it 100% at the Etihad. It doesn't matter that they are Manchester City. It doesn't matter that we are at the Etihad. We'll go out there and we give 110%, no matter the result, no matter who's playing. We'll do this for Eddie Howe. Now, we've got a lot of actual sort of news to get through in the match preview today. We've got injury news on Newcastle United, and for the first time ever, we've got it on the opposition, and it's very, very sort of promising for Newcastle United. It may be false hope, but we've definitely still got some promise in there. Kevin De Bruyne looks like he's missing the game. Without further ado, let's get into the match preview. But of course, before we start the match preview, let's get through the injury news of Newcastle United first, of course. And like I said, for the first time ever, we've got opposition injury news as well. I never normally share them, but it is pretty promising, so why not? Let's start with Newcastle United. And talking of promising, Anthony Gordon was lightly training yesterday and is back in full training today, of course, Friday as we speak. So a later call is going to be made if he can be available for the game at the Etihad tomorrow. Look, we all want him to, don't we? I know it might aggravate his injury, like we said, even if he goes to play for England, that could aggravate his injury. We don't want to push him if he's 70%, if he's 80%, just do it if he's 100%, honestly. If he goes out for a longer period of time and he misses England, who he's wanted to play for so long, it would be very, very a bad situation for him. But moving on, and actually on to Nick Pope, who Eddie Howe was give us some sort of news on in his press conference this morning. We haven't heard of Nick Pope in a very, very long time. He said he thinks that Nick Pope wanted to get back, and his target was to get back this April, but he thinks he'll get there just at the end of April. Of course, he's been out on the grass, he's not been diving, but he's just been about kicking the ball, which of course, that's progress rather than just sitting out on the sidelines, isn't it? So the fingers crossed he's back very, very soon, because he's been a very big miss. Not just his fantastic shot stopping, although his distribution is very aggravating sometimes, it's also command in the area and command in the box, which we haven't seen with Dubravka. We've seen miscommunications between Dubravka and Botman recently. We need Nick Pope back in there. He's undoubtedly the number one goalkeeper. Shot stopping is unreal. Then he gave us a little update on Harvey Barnes, who mysteriously was out of Chelsea's game. He's picked up another injury somehow. Honestly, I hope he isn't going to sort of be an injury-prone player at Newcastle United. Eddie Howe says he will definitely not be available for Manchester City tomorrow in the FA Cup clash. Of course, that's the last time we've got to play them this season. Thank God as well. This is the fourth time, isn't it? Jesus Christ. Anyways, he said he will be back for the West Ham game on the 30th of March, of course, putting him out until the international break as well. That's actually coming at a pretty decent time for Newcastle United. And finally, he's actually confirmed why Longstaff may have been underperforming recently, and that's because he's had a foot problem since Everton last season. Now, this mind boggles me, ladies and gentlemen. He also confirmed that he went through injections last week to get him through the game against, who even was the last game? Oh, it was Chelsea. Bloody hell, how have I forgot that? But he put some injections in his foot to make sure he was actually available for the Chelsea game. Now, he's had a foot problem since Everton away last season. I'm sorry, but that is an unbelievably long amount of time to put a player through so many games while being injured. But not just that, that could be detrimental to his further injury, if you know what I mean. That could make his injury really bad in the future. And also, we've got an eager and preferably better 17-year-old on the bench who undoubtedly will put in a better performance than Sean Longstaff. I don't know why he's not playing, but Eddie Howe did also say that he trusts Sean Longstaff 110% to play, and he's an integral part of how we play. I mean, recently he hasn't been performing great for the last 7-8 games. Honestly, he's been absolutely anonymous. But away from that, let's take a look at Manchester City's injury news. I never thought I'd ever be saying that, but yes, like I said, Kevin De Bruyne looks like he's going to be out of this game. Now, yet again, I know it might be false hope, ladies and gentlemen, but Kevin De Bruyne is the guy that changed the game at St James's Park. We could have arguably won that game if he didn't step onto the pitch. Look, he's absolutely unbelievable, Kevin De Bruyne is, and he's one of my favourite ever non-Newcastle United players in world football. He's just an absolute magician, and I can actually appreciate fantastic football. Kevin De Bruyne is a person who gives you fantastic football. And not only is Kevin De Bruyne sort of likely to be out, as Pep Guardiola says that he won't be available for this game, but Ederson, the goalkeeper, actually looks like he's going to be out for this game as well. It's apparently 25% of a chance that he's going to play in this game. Of course, they've got their backup goalkeeper, Stefan Ortega, who, although he come from a Bundesliga 2 side at the time, Armenia Bielefeld. I don't know if they were actually in the Liga 2 then, but they were getting relegated. He's not a bad goalkeeper whatsoever. We're seeing him at St James's Park, pulled off a fair few decent saves, but he has actually been okay for Man City this season. Although he is their second string goalkeeper, he's definitely still a very good goalkeeper. And lastly, Jack Grealish. It looks like Jack Grealish is going to be unavailable for this game as well. Not the biggest worry for us. I mean, Tino absolutely pocketed him at St James's Park, but Jack Grealish does look like he's going to be unavailable for this game, as Pep Guardiola said he might not even make the England men's national team. So I guess it's good news rather than not have anyone out. It just looks like we'll have Bernardo Silva, Haaland, Rodri, Phil Foden, Kovacic, all these world-class players to worry about instead of them three either. But on to the match preview, ladies and gentlemen. That's the injury news out the way. Let's take a look at Newcastle United's FA Cup performances this season. Of course, the Sunderland one, we don't even have to talk about that. That was just Derby Day delight. We'll run them clean over. It was a championship team. What do we expect? Fulham away. Fulham aren't a bad team whatsoever. We're done ourselves proud. We got a 2-0 win. Somehow Byrne and Longstaff scored, the arguably scapegoat for some people. Somehow they scored in that game when they were probably the worst two performers before their goals in that game as well. Then moving on, and it was pretty hypocritical, as I said. We should have smashed Sunderland because they were a championship team. We then played Blackburn Rovers, and Blackburn Rovers gave us a hell of a game. Of course, it went to penalties, and we just won 4-3. Blackburn Rovers were genuinely very, very good in that game. They took the game to her, and arguably, they created some better chances as well. Newcastle were way too, it's unclinical even a word. They were just missing so many of our chances. We weren't clinical, that's probably better off to say that in that game. And we were just so sloppy, and that was a case of our recent performance against Chelsea again. There was no desire to get back into the game. There was no ambition. And some people have been saying, why is there no ambition? Why is there no fight to get back into the game? Come on, lads, let's do it for Eddie. I believe in that Chelsea game especially is because there was no Kieran Trippier. There's that absence of a man who's always been in the team week in, week out. He's barely ever injured. He's got that voice and he's got that commanding of his box, if you know what I mean. You know exactly what to expect of Kieran Trippier. He kind of just demands respect. I think that's pretty fair to say that as well. He does just demand respect as a footballer for what he's done for the sort of example he leads. And what I actually really liked, I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but he sort of emulates captaincy, because I remember in the USA pre-season tour, he said to the players, it wasn't like, come on lads, it's just a friendly, let's do what we've got to do. He said, let's give a good account of ourselves to sort of overseas viewers. Personally, I think that's absolutely fantastic. He's caring about the well-being and the overlook of the whole squad, which I really, really do like for Kieran Trippier. Bit of a tangent there, but moving on to Manchester City and of course Newcastle, it doesn't look too rosy for us, just lost against Chelsea. Beat Wolves 3-0 somehow, which wasn't the most convincing 3-0 win ever, but look, we've got to build off. And actually, Eddie Howe said in this game that we are going to take the game to Manchester City. We aren't going to give it back, and in Eddie Howe's words, we are going to give it a right go. Fingers crossed we can, Eddie, mate, and fingers crossed we can for you. I want to win this game for Eddie, to give him some sort of job security at the minute, because all these people have been saying he's going to get out, and I do believe he can be criticised at times, but there's no one else I want in this job than Eddie Howe. What he's done for it, he deserves a proper shot at it, and I really, really want him to. Let's go out there and give it 110% for Eddie Howe. Moving on to Manchester City, they are good. They are unbelievably good. In their last 18 games in all competitions, guess how many they've won? 16 games. 16 games they've won in their last 18. Why do I hear some Manchester City fans online? They are going, oh, I'm actually quite nervous for this game. Lads, you've won 16 games in your last 18. You've got Haaland, Bernardo Silva, Foden, Rodri. You had Kevin De Bruyne available at the time when you were talking about it. Why do you go on about as if you're actually nervous for the game? You are genuine serial winners. You've won the treble. You're such a fantastic team which can just run over any team. You've got the mentality to sort of grind down players in the latter stages of the game and grind down teams as well. That's how you are sort of formidable winners. I don't know why they go on like that, honestly. But look, 16 wins in 18. They are absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, Phil Foden is on absolute fire. He was no mug in the Manchester derby at the Etihad. He's an absolutely phenomenal player. But like I said, Is Erling Haaland without Kevin De Bruyne? Their last FA Cup fixture, Luton Town away, they won 6-2. Erling Haaland scored 5 goals. Who was the majority of them assisted by? Kevin De Bruyne. Look, I'm not saying they're not a force without Kevin De Bruyne, but they are much more of a force with Kevin De Bruyne. Now, we were winning 2-1 at St James's Park. Without him, he comes on. The inevitable happens, as it always does. That man is just genuinely too good. But like I said, we've played them 3 times this season already. Once in the EFL Cup at St James's Park. We beat them. Now, I think that game is it's a sense of false hope for some Newcastle United fans to go, well, we've beat them in the Carabao Cup. Let's go and beat them in the FA Cup. It's achievable. First of all, we are now going to the Etihad. We're not at St James's Park. And second of all, it was clear, I don't know if it's just me, but it was clear to see from that game that Man City didn't prioritise the Carabao Cup whatsoever. They want to go for the FA Cup. They are prioritising this competition. Like we're seeing, Luton Town away, they should really be beating them. They still put Erling Haaland and Kevin De Bruyne and all the many other world-class players into that team. They weren't messing about. They want to prioritise the FA Cup, and they aren't joking about in this game. They aren't putting the likes of Calvin Phillips out like they did at St James's Park in the EFL Cup. They are going to go for this one. But of course, we've met them 2 times in the Prem. We lost both games, 1-0 at the Etihad, which actually went to that game. I was going to go to this game in person, which would have been my 4th time in a row going to the Etihad, but look, I would rather live stream it for you, so make sure you're there for the live stream tomorrow as well. Of course, we'll start at 5 p.m, but we've played them 2 times in the Premier League. Like I said, the 1-0 away loss through a fantastic Julian Alvarez goal. Now we could have done about that. It just wasn't our day. And of course, at St James's Park, the less said the better. A last-minute goal to Oscar Bob. What a pass that was from Kevin De Bruyne. And how did that goal win a goal of the month? Honestly, that mind-boggled me. But yes, Man City are going to be a very, very big threat to us. Their attacking depth is just genuinely unbelievable. Even on the bench, the likes of Doku and Oscar Bob, funnily enough, they've just got so many players they can bring on and impact the game, which we might not need to sort of analyse, if you know what I mean. We'll have a start 11 in front of her, and then they've just got the other 30 world-class players they've got on the bench. Honestly, it's going to be a very hard game for Newcastle. If there's one thing I can say, we need Bruno on top form. He is a world-class player. We need Isak on top form. And if we get 1 or 2 chances in this game, we need Isak, and he can, to take them 2 chances and maybe make it 2-1 or 2-2 or 2-0 to Newcastle United. We need the likes of Botman to be back on that form. We need the likes of Tino Livramento to be back on form. We need Tino to be back on top form because he's always been on top form. We need these players to just go out and, like I said, give absolutely everything because this means so much to the fans. And bearing in mind, ladies and gentlemen, if we win, we go to Wembley. The semi-finals of the FA Cup, we go to Wembley. Is it likely we're going to win it? Look, we'll just have to play who's in front of her. It is pretty kind of mission impossible playing at the Etihad when they are prioritising it. But look, I still believe in Newcastle United. That's what we have right now as a football club. We do have hope. I'm just trying to build myself up for it. Come on, lads, just do it for Eddie. Do it for the fans. Go out and give 110%. Joe Willock's back. For a score prediction, you let me know yours down below. But I am going to go Newcastle United 1. Manchester City 0. No, I'm joking. Look, that's my Jody Josh score prediction, but genuinely, I really think it will be Man City 2, Newcastle United 0. I have a feeling, I have an urge that the players just aren't going to try, which I really hate saying that because they look like more fatigued than they've ever been. But I really don't want them to be, if you know what I mean. It's a shame that we'll have to think like that, but I hope they can just go out there, give it 110%, no matter the score, give it absolutely everything, be clinical, get into them challenges, do it for Eddie, do it for the fans. That's what we're asking for, ladies and gentlemen. That is the end of the match preview. If you did enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe if you are new around here. I've been Jolly Josh. Go and enjoy your day, people. Come on, the mags.